President Trump leading the field in early key voting states. In Iowa, Trump is leading Florida Governor Ron DeSantis by 30 points at a level of 46%. While in South Carolina, the 45th president holds a 34-point lead over former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley with 48% of the vote. President Trump criticized President Biden's leadership in an exclusive interview with me last week. Now, in part two of my sit-down with the former commander-in-chief, President Trump tells us how he took on communist China and why the CCP has become so aggressive on Joe Biden's watch.
China was ripping off our country for years and years. And, we're giving them favored status and we were giving them everything. We were giving them everything. Nobody ever did anything. I was the one that exposed it. And more importantly, I did something about it. And, we wouldn't, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't have a steel mill in the United States right now. They were dumping steel by hundreds and hundreds. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. What they were doing to the steel industry, the aluminum industry, and I stopped it. And so I certainly don't think I could have been too much tougher on China. Then when COVID came, I made a great trade deal with China. They have to buy $50 billion worth of our product, right? And that was a big thing for the farmers. I don't even talk about it because once COVID came in, that superseded everything. When Biden approved Nord Stream 2, I said, what's going on here? What is going on here? But remember, he got $3.5 million from, again, the mayor of Moscow's wife. Mm-hmm. She gave him $3.5 million. But that's the least of the money they got.
Yeah.
Okay, look at all the money we're giving to Ukraine. And yet Ukraine was paying the Biden family a fortune.
Would you stop the money to Ukraine at this point?
I'd get the war settled. The money is, number one, I tell Europe, you're about $100 billion plus short. Okay? You got to pay. Because Europe is smiling all the way to the bank. We're giving all of this. Europe is doing very little compared to the United States, and it affects them more. Look, no matter how you look at it, they're right there. We're an ocean apart. Why are we at 150 billion and they're at 20? They have to, and their economy's almost exactly our size if you add it all up. You add up the countries of Europe, and we have a very similar economy they have a very similar to the United States. They should be at the same number that we're at, if not more. And they get away with murder. And they did with NATO, too. You know what I did with NATO? They weren't paying, and I made them pay.
Right.
And took in hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
Would you be prepared to attack the economic relationship that we have with China? For example, the capital markets are wide open for communist China. And unwitting investors are basically funding the expansion of the CCP. Would you put limits in place in terms of what Americans can buy?
So I did something better. I did tremendous tariffs. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars, tariffs and taxes. So when China, which was just dumping everything into our country, steel and everything, they were dumping steel at a level that was going to put our steel mills out of business, which is what they wanted. U.S. Steel, if you go to any steel manufacturer or anybody, Maria, they're going to say Trump was the greatest president. I saved the steel industry. We were dead. And I taxed a 50% tax on dumping steel. And then they start sending it through other countries, and we caught them. And they start sending it through Canada. Look, this is the most dangerous time in the history of our country because of weaponry. The nuclear power is so enormous. This isn't two army tanks going and shooting each other in World War I, World War II, with soldiers standing behind a bunker and shooting people. This is numbers, this is obliteration. And we have a man that doesn't understand what he's doing. We have a man that yesterday stood up and told the whole world that we have no ammunition. Do you know, I had every ammunition building full to the brim 3 years ago. We've given it all away. But if you gave it all away, it's terrible. The only thing worse than that is to tell the world that we have no... He has told China and these other places that are hostile that we have no ammunition. By the way, you talk about classified documents. That's worse than any document that you could give. So now these people are sitting back in China and other places that hate us, including North Korea, where I had a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un and kept our country safe. They're talking about the United States of America has no ammunition. Think of it. How stupid can somebody be to say that?
I just want to end with this. What is the most important issue about your policy and your leadership that you want independents to understand?
Okay, ready? security for our nation, number one, and that's a very important issue for independence and for women. And we're doing very well. You look at the polls; we're way up on independence, and we're way up on women. They want security, they want safety. We're going to close the border. We're going to get rid of all of the criminals that have been allowed to come into our country that are causing us tremendous problems, and terrorists that are going to cause us problems for many years to come. We are going to create the greatest economy. We're going to become energy independent. Energy prices are going to go way down. That's going to take inflation down.